About 9 months ago, I did a video on the first generation of the Licitti battery box, and I absolutely loved it. In fact, it is running my entire off-grid cabin, and this is generation 2 of that battery box. So in this video, we're going to see what upgrades are available in this new box, and we'll go through those features. So let's get to it. Alright, so let's take a look at what we get. So we get the box itself, and we'll go through the different components on the box. But in addition, we get a solar panel cable with MC4 on one end and a 20 amp Anderson, and these are keyed, so only this 20 amp Anderson connector can go in to this port, and this port has a 20 amp charge controller, and it's an MPPT charge controller. So that is the first upgrade. The original box had a 10 amp MPPT charge controller. This one has a 20 amp. Comes with the cable. It has battery terminal protectors. It has a 50 amp Anderson connector with alligator clips, and this one is going to fit here, and it will allow you to charge an automobile battery if your battery is low, enabling you to start. And it also comes with a tool that allows you to remove this back plate here, and that allows you to install your battery or battery pack into the box. So the old Gen 1 box, you would drop it in from the top. This one, you slide it in from the back. Okay, be careful when you take this off. These screws can fall out, and you don't want to lose those. Then you've got this plate here that slides out, and you've got your battery cables, and you notice that the negative cable is longer because that is going to be towards the back, and they're using 2 AUG cables with additional reinforcement here, so to keep it from going on any sharp edges. And on this plate you have the straps that are built in where you can secure your battery to the plate before installing it. And if you look right here, bring it in a little closer, you can see that they've got an integrated shunt. So that means that their front display can provide a lot more information. Alright, so if you look in here, you've got your charge controller right here. So it's gonna be advantageous to skew everything, over to the right side of this plate. I mean, there's not a whole lot of play there, but there's enough to give you 1/4 inch. So that's how I'm going to do that. And I have a 100 amp hour battery that I'm going to be placing in here, and it's a LifePo 4 battery. And the same thing, I don't want the buckle to be on this side, so it can be either on the top or over on the right. I think I'm just going to leave it on the top. Just going to get that started. Okay, and now you want to go ahead and mount at least your negative post. Okay, I don't want to crank down too hard, but I do want to make it snug. And then same thing for the positive cable. Now normally, because this has an inverter, I would want to pre-charge the capacitors in the inverter with a resistor. But because the whole system is turned off, I don't have to worry about that. There's not going to be a spark. Okay, now I can just slip this in. Oh, you know what? Dang it. Forgot to put my post connectors on, protectors on. Don't forget the post protectors. Because you are coming up against a metal plate here. You don't want to short your battery out. It shouldn't touch, but it's close enough that I wouldn't want to take any chances. All right, so with your protectors on, now you can slide this in. And you might need to hold the inverter out of the way while you slide this back. And you do have screws that hold this in place, keep it from moving back and forth or side to side. So you're going to want to install those as well. All right, now I've heard some complaints about getting this back plate on, but you know, people saying that you can only get 3 of the screws in. What I found is that if you flip it on its front and install the back plate like that, it lines up great, and I've done this multiple times. It works every time. Okay, so what I do is I get it all lined up, and I only just start them so that it's not really tight. And then I get all 4 of them started, and then I just finish cranking it down. All right, this method has worked every time. So I've got this one in, this one caught, the front one caught, and that one caught. So now just have to finish tightening them down, and then no problems. Okay, so these are completely tight. Okay, that one's tight and that one's tight. So we're tight all the way around now. All right, so this is your main power switch right here. And this has an extra feature. This is the off position. This is the on position. And you can see that the screen is coming on. But if you turn it off and then turn it just a little bit further, Now you can remove this and save it so that this can't be turned on if you don't want it to be. So it's keyed. We'll go ahead and turn that on. And let's take a look at what we've got here. We've got amps, volts, watts. We've got the capacity of our battery. And if we hit setting here, then we can set our max voltage. Right now it's at 14.8, minimum voltage at 11. Maybe we want to drop that down. So, okay, I want to drop that down. Okay, and our full voltage, I want that to be we're going to make that 13.8. Okay, our capacity 100 amp hours, that's correct for the battery that we have in there. We've got an alarm set if it goes to 10 amp hours remaining. And our timeout on our LCD screen is 1 minute. That's this screen right here. So you can change that, you can increase it. And if you put this to 9999, it's on continuously. It never turns off. Okay, so we've got everything set. And now this will turn off automatically after 1 minute. But let's take a look at what we've got here. So we've got our 20 amp Anderson connector here. We've got a 50 amp Anderson connector here. We have our 12 volt, 10 amp input here. And we've got our USB. Looks like we've got a PD quick charge and the quick charge 3.0 right here. So this is type C and this is type A. And this can be turned on and off here. And then we've got our AC outlet here, which is grounded. And to turn that on, you push this button right here. And this is already timed out, but pushing any of these buttons will bring it back on. And you can see that the AC outlet, just by turning that on, you know, I'm starting to pulse a little bit of amps here, less than an amp, 0.39 amps, and we've used up 4 watts. So if I turn that off, that should go down. Yeah, you can see it's going down. All right, I've got an 1800 watt heater. It has 2 settings. The first setting is at like 750 watts, and then the second setting is 1800. So we're going to plug this in. And we're going to see how that works. Turn on the AC outlet. All right, so we can see that we're pulling 675 watts right now and 55 amps. The drawdown on the battery is down to 12.2. That's not the capacity of the battery, that's just taking all of the drawdown into effect. Time remaining, we've got 97 amp hours and we've got an hour and 44 minutes left. We're at 97% capacity. So we get a lot of good information because of that shunt. So that's a great improvement from Gen 1 to Gen 2. Okay, now let's crank this up to the high speed. Okay, now I can feel that the internal fans have come on. Let's see what we're doing. We're pulling 1276 watts, 1247 watts, 109 amps. Now keep in mind that I've got a 100 amp hour battery in here with a 100 amp rated BMS. So it's not going to be pulling much more than 100 amps. I'm kind of impressed that it's pulling up to 116. Seen it bounce up to 117. So that is about the max that I'm going to be able to pull out of that battery. But it is running at high speed. That's pretty warm. So the inverter is doing everything that it's designed to do. I'm going to let that run for a few minutes to draw the battery down, and then we'll charge it. Alright, there's a couple of ways to charge this. We can charge it with the solar panel, or we can charge it here through the 50 amp connector. So I'm going to go grab my charger, and we'll see how this looks when it's charging. Alright, so I've got some solar panels that I'm going to connect up here. And then we'll plug this into the solar connector. And let's go ahead and turn that on so we can see what's happening. Okay, you can see that we're getting 4.2 amps from the solar source, and it's dropped down to 2. It's kind of cloudy outside, so it's going to be hit and miss, but about 50 watts. So it's not bad off of 100 watt panel. So we know that the solar charge input is working. So let's go ahead and remove that, and we'll try another method of charging. Okay, I have a charger that has an Anderson 50 amp Anderson connector. So we'll go ahead and plug that in, and we'll check that out. So we're pulling in just over 29 amps, 360 watts. So we verified that both the solar charging port and the 50 amp Anderson port both have charging capabilities. Alright, let's see if this has pass through, because it's currently being charged. Let's see if I can run something while it's being charged. Yeah, so I've got my heater is running. It's being charged at the same time. So it does have pass-through capabilities. Alright, while I let this continue charging, let's talk a little bit about some of the differences between Gen 1 and Gen 2 of the Licitti battery box. So first thing you might notice is the master power switch is a lot smaller and more ergonomic on Gen 2 versus Gen 1, and it has that key that you can pull out, so keep this from being turned on accidentally. It has a single grounded AC output versus multiple on Gen 1, and I'll come back to that. We've got our 10 amp 12 volt cigarette lighter outlet. We've got our two USB quick charge ports, USB-C and USB-A. We've got our two Anderson input outputs. We've got the 20 amp is input only. That is connected to a 20 amp MPPT charge controller, which is up from 10 amps in the previous version. And we've got a single 50 amp Anderson connector, which is both input and output. Okay, now you saw on the back where the battery slides in, we have more than enough room to put a 100 amp hour battery in there, but it will actually hold up to a 300 amp hour battery pack. And those battery packs are available from Licitti. And who knows, maybe we'll have a video on that in the future. You've got multiple ways of charging. You can charge through the solar, the dedicated solar Anderson port, or through the 50 amp Anderson port. So you've got multiple ways of charging, either from AC outlet or from solar panels or from another generator. Alright, so I mentioned that the Gen 1 box is running my entire off-grid cabin. So what am I using off of that box? Well, I'm using a single AC port that I've got connected to my electrical system, and it powers my entire cabin. So I'm only using a single port. I'm using the 12 volt 10 amp outlet to power my DC refrigerator. I'm using the 10 amp dedicated solar Anderson port that's hooked up to my solar panels, and I'm using a single 50 amp Anderson port which is powering my DC power bank, and that's for my lights and my DC monitoring outputs and that type of thing. So this has everything that I'm currently using in Gen 1, and if I need more outlets, I can simply plug in a power strip, something like this. So boom, now I've got 3. There's also an optional DC control box which you can connect to the system to provide additional Anderson ports, USB ports, and 12 volt socket. I love the 2000 watt inverter, and it's a pure sine wave inverter, which means I can run anything that I want, which includes microwave and induction cooktops, that type of thing. Everything will be supported. I really like this this new display screen because with the shunt that is added in this version, you can see not only the voltage, but you can see watts and amps as well. So that's nice. It's really nice. Okay, there's also an app, and it's just the Licitti app. It's right there. It's in both the Apple Store and the Android Store, and you can monitor everything that you can see on this display. You can see here, and you can see that it's charging. We're currently up to 13.2 volts. We're charging at 30 amps, just under 30 amps, up to 385 watts approximately, and this is going to continue to charge until we're completely full according to the parameters that I put inside. And so yeah, and you can also take a look at the history of the battery and the status. So I'm actually going to replace the Gen 1 box at my cabin with this Gen 2 box, and it's going to be going into a corner where I'm not going to have access to the screen. So having this app is really going to come in handy. Okay, I also want to mention that along the side here you can see different use cases as well as the different certifications that have been achieved by this box. And then on top you've got all of the specifications of the box listed. Alright, so the Gen 1 Licitti battery box is absolutely fantastic. It's been great for me. I think this Gen 2 box is going to be even better with all of the upgrades that it has. And if you're interested in one of these, there will be a link in the description to the Licitti's website, and there's a discount code WoodHaven 50 that will knock $50 off the price of one of these boxes. So That is going to be a limited time discount, so if you want one of these, get them while they last.